Sunbreak, 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 Sunbreak! Look, okay, I'm just very excited! Oh, there is so much I want to talk about, but today what I want to talk about, fellow hunters, is I welcome you to this, me talking about what I want to talk about today, which I will now tell you what I want to talk about is the 5 monsters that I most want to see appear in Sunbreak. And this is a mix of personal, wouldn't it be cool if, and, well, based on the setting, the themes, what we know so far, these would make sense. And we're gonna merge those two elements together to get our candidates. So, if we could begin then with the first interview.
Hello, yes, it's me, Brachydios. You love me? That's pretty much all I have to say.
Okay, look, admittedly I do love you, but you're not going to be on this list because it just wouldn't really make sense. I hope he will be in the game. God, I hope Raging Bracky Daddy will be in the game, but there's no real precedent for it. He doesn't immediately fit the theme. Then again, Amatsu and Adogaron somehow didn't make it into Base Rise despite fitting the theme, so maybe theme is a poor indicator. But in any case, let's get this show on the road properly with our first monster that I think really quite needs to be in, and that is
Vaal Hazak here. You should fear my train as it takes away your will to play this game.
Oh yes, Vaal Hazak. How could it not be? Our undead, flavored, skin-wearing, flesh-eating bacteria, life-sucking, symbiotic son of a bitch. He is too good in this dark, gothic, medieval world. If we're gonna get vampires in the form of the Flagship,
Blood!
Well, another very much of vampires contemporary is the zombie, the ghoul, the undead. Which I guess indeed the vampire is technically also undead, but you know what I mean. Vaal Hazak could fit our role for a ghoul-esque monster, and the word ghoul, as we know a ghoul to be, was actually first kind of coined around the same time as the word vampire. So that's quite cool. But on top of that, look, he really is just an absolutely fantastic monster. He's unlike anything else, and I could totally see a dark, creepy map in, well, this dark, creepy expansion so far to house him. And I think out of all of World and Iceborne's Elder Dragons, him and Namiel most deserve another go. Gigante too, of course, but I don't think that's as likely. I think he's a bit Spotlight Steely, and there's no real reason for him to be here. I think Vaal Hazak, reimagined in a Wirebug world, would be absolutely fantastic, and I like the idea of him draining life with his Efflusium versus our new flagship Elder Dragon draining life with kind of blood drinky, and imagine a kind of turf war between that. That's very exciting. So yeah, I think it fits the theme, and I think it is a very good monster to return. Next up then is a little bit of a cheat, because it's technically 7 monsters? Aw, look at the little psychopathic, hateful murder machine of annoying death. He almost looks cute. I wonder what he's dreaming about. Oh god! Oh my god, no! No! Oh god! Oh! Okay. Alright. Oh. But where is Buldrome? Yes, I'm talking about the missing 7 from Base Rise. In Rise, there are 7 small monsters, or in the case of Basarios, a large monster but still a baby, that don't have their big boy version hanging around for us to hunt. That is Buldrome, Great Jagras, Great Jaggy, Zamtrios, then we have Tetsukabra, and then there is Agnaktor, and finally Gravios to Basarios. Where are they all? They totally should be in. I don't like having the smaller baby version without the bigger adult version. It doesn't feel right. So how can I make a video like this and not say, yeah, those guys should be added? They'd fill out the low-end roster perfect. Because adding them to Current Rise obviously doesn't make any sense. Because, I mean, one, nothing else is going to get added to Current Rise. But two, adding a low-tier monster is just fodder and it lasts 5 minutes and its armor won't be that good. But if we go through Master, G-Rank, etc. in Sunbreak and have to go through Tetsukabra, have to go through a Zamtrios, have to face an Agnaktor, eventually a Gravios, that gives a nice little injection curve of monsters that are relevant because, you know, we're going through the game for the first time, so low-tier stuff is very much needed in variety and fun. So, yeah, to me, this missing, air quote, 7 has to be here, but obviously I gave it its own, you know, entry because otherwise the whole list would just be these 7 monsters. Next up then!
Hello, motherfucker!
Yes, it's a bit on the nose, but how could we not have Gigginox? It has been too long since he has featured prominently in a Monster Hunter game. Him spawning his babies to then latch onto you and suck your blood and grow up, I mean... that fits, doesn't it? It fits. It just works. It has to happen. Kezu has had too much spotlight. And look, as much as I don't want to say it because it makes it a very basic choice, monster with some sort of blood-sucking-ness to it kind of just works in a game where the flagship is a blood-sucking vampire monster. I mean, I can't get away from that fact. But look, Creepy Cave Wyvern II needs to have another appearance. He is wonderful and he really is different from Kezu just fundamentally, and it's really, really cool. I really want them to expand on his mid-combat egg-laying small monster summoning, and you could really do that in a world where hunters have so much mobility. You can just make that go crazy. So yeah, I should mention at this point that obviously there's plenty of ideas for monsters that don't exist that I think would be wonderful, but this list I want to stick with stuff that's already, you know, in a Monster Hunter game. I feel like that makes sense, and I'm avoiding subspecies, variants, deviants, you know, versions. I want the base monsters here. Alright, next up then, and this one might be a little bit of a wild card if you know me and you've not been keeping up with the Monster Hunter lore series recently, but I can't not select it.
A blood-sucking monster. A nightmare invading. A terror under the waves. The extinction of species. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Yeah! Baruraguru from Frontier, of all things. Now, my feelings on Frontier are fairly well known, though I have certainly come around to quite a few of the designs, because although the overall packages tend to be a little bit lackluster, some of the core ideas are exemplary. And, well, in this case, we have, and I quote, the blood-eating wyvern. If you thought Gigginox was on the nose, well, this is... I mean, the nose. He literally has a hollow tube tongue with spikes on the end that darts out as a whip, latches onto you or a nearby monster, and drains it dry. He can then assimilate the blood and gain its properties. Ergo, if he drains a paralyzing monster, he gains paralyzing attacks. If he drains a poison monster, he gets poison attacks. He also attacks by literally beams of blood. By firing out puddles of blood that corrode. Like, that's kinda, I mean, yeah, okay, he's also freakishly terrifying. And he's a Leviathan that is quite capable and in fact more comfortable on land, and adding a new Leviathan would be really cool. And given it's from Frontier, it would be new for a lot of people. I imagine a lot of people don't even know it exists, but I can't look past the fact that there is this really unique kind of blood drinking and then it changes the fight Leviathan for an expansion that, you know, has the themes that it has so far. Like, I just need it to happen. even if it's not literally this monster, the concept, I think, is really wonderful. And hey, maybe our flagship is going to have some of the concepts from this. Maybe our flagship is going to drink blood live on the hunt and change based on it with his moves and such. And that could be a little bit of a borrow from Barura Guru here. But I can't ignore the fact that the blood-eating wyvern would be a great monster to face under the blood moon of the broken sun. So, finally then, as we move away from perhaps the more obvious dark themes, I want Monoblos! Yes! I have always preferred Monoblos to Diablos, though, you know, don't get me wrong, I love Diablos, but I think the one horn just looks purely badass. It doesn't need to, you know, that's overcompensating. The one spiral horn is gorgeous, and I much prefer his crest. I think he is just a much cooler looking monster, to put it bluntly, and it's one that I really want to see again, because it really has been once more too long. I think he's really, really wonderful. But to actually talk thematic, I mean, yes, he mostly operates like Diablos, but like Diablos, he was in the very first Monster Hunter game. He is an OG, he's not exactly copying in that sense, and I do like quite a few of his moves, a few that Diablos doesn't tend to have. He seems to be almost a smarter fighter, less full chargey, though he does spend most of his time charging, but I think you could do some really cool stuff with him in your Wirebug world. And hey, his horn is known as the Crimson Horn, you know, that's red, and therefore blood. Haha, we're tying it in. No, what I like the idea of is that his charge with a single horn is very lance-like. And who uses a lance? Guild knights. And, well, knights, castles, Rondine's homeland, medieval, that kind of fits in, and you could have this charging knight of a Monoblos, maybe a new subspecies as its only entry. That would be quite cool, but it's a monster I've always adored, and one that I've not fought in modern Monster Hunter, and I really, really would like to. And I think bringing him back and giving him a revamp like Lunastra, or giving him a revamp like Raging Bracky, making him really distinct from Diablos while still sharing that obvious similarity, could give him a whole new lead of life, and I really want to then take that life away in a glorious battle. So there you go, guys. That's my, at least, initial reaction suggestions, but I would love to know yours. Also, don't miss Codden's little talk on myth, creatures, folklore, and everything that we should see in this flip from Eastern to Western type creature inspiration that went out yesterday. But until we meet again, please consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. Have a wonderful, excited, well, wait for Sunbreak, and I'll see you soon. A good boy.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.